Okay, so this is Keys to Success number 67, our ever and ongoing effort to help you to stay well once you've been through this program, or I understand a lot of you are watching this who haven't been through the program, maybe help you to get some concepts of what being sick and getting well and staying well means. Today we're going to talk about successful psychology of staying well. And Dr. Gates had a patient say a few things that made him kind of think of this subject. We were going to talk about some recipes for the holidays to keep you safe, but this seemed to rise to the top. Do you want me to go over what I just said before, and then have you go into that? So one of the things, that first day or the first couple of days that people come in here, my guess is it's sensory overload. Patient comes in, usually we'll do a consult. I'm generally at that point trying to determine whether the patient is a properly selected candidate for what we do. Is that a person who seems like they'll take responsibility, they'll do the diet, they have a good support group, and on and on and on and on. Because we don't want people coming in here and paying us their hard-earned dollars and not getting better. And so we do our best to screen to give you the optimum chance of getting well. And then we do a pretty thorough exam, do some treatment, re-exam, then we present you with our findings. And that's when I sat there with you and went through the report that those of you who've been through the program have a copy of. At the end of that report, I very, very generally outline what your treatment is going to look like. And as you who have been through the program now understand, at that point, it's hard for me to really get into specifics because, as you saw, everybody's programs are so different. Everybody's got different exercises and so on and so forth. But in general, at the end, what I say is to everybody, and this may get lost because there's so much data being thrown at you that day. And in the end, I say, here's the thing. Once you are finished with your program, if you do what we tell you to do, the maintenance program that should be given to you, okay? It should have as few supplements on there as possible. Know that those supplements have been researched so that we know they're not going to alter immune responses, okay? If you do Dr. Gates's exercises that he gives you, if you follow the diet, meaning that any food sensitivity he has told you not to eat, you shouldn't be eating. And you should be on as few supplements and as few drugs as possible at that point in time. That's our goal, okay? And then what I say is, and I say this consistently, is now if a year or 2 or 3 later, things start to go wrong, and that's what all these keys to success are about, to try to help you to not have to make this call, then call us. And usually the first question that's going to be asked of you is, are you following your program? And I can tell you from personal experience, usually what happens is silence on the other end of the phone. Well, I didn't think those exercises were really, doing that much. Or, oh, you know what? I started eating gluten again. Or I've been doing the diet most of the time. And things of this nature. These are things that with that kind of nervous voice, knowing that like I'm going to yell at him or something, but knowing that I should have kept doing the program. And in one of these keys to success, our recommendation is we're going to tell you to go back and do that for a month. And usually within less period of time than that, people will call us back and say, I'm feeling better again. Now, if you have, and Dr. Gates is going to talk about that aspect of it. And then but one last thing, if you are doing everything that we told you to do and life goes on, you get a stress, maybe you get another virus, maybe you get a pneumonia, maybe you get something, and things change, I tell people to call us, because at that point, if you are doing everything we told you to do, it's pretty easy to figure out what's going on. At least that's been my observations, and I confirmed this with Dr. Gates before we did this, because there aren't a whole lot of moving parts at that point in time. Dr. Gates can generally check and see if you need to do a different exercise. Have you gotten a new viral infection that can be handled with some supplements or something along those? Maybe you didn't need a thyroid medication, maybe now you do. Maybe you need it altered. I mean, there's a lot of different little fine tunings that can occur along the way. And rarely does it, I was just saying, only once or twice have I ever seen anybody come back for any significant length of time. It doesn't require a new program. And typically, that's what I said, the vast majority of the time it doesn't require a new program. Sometimes it might take a couple of visits, but usually if you're doing all the things they were told that you do, then it should be easy to get you to recover. And frankly, the vast majority of our patients don't need to come back, okay? So within the framework of that, there's a mindset that was presented to us, presented to Dr. Gates actually this past week, and he wanted to share it with you because he really felt that it was could be an important piece of psychology. You might want to mention some of the things people have to do when they find that they can't stay on the diet, like you had mentioned, Dr. McKenna, things of that nature. So why don't I turn it over to you at this point, so that you can fine-tune that down to this success psychology of staying on the diet, frankly, and doing your exercises.
You know, I hearken back to when I was first informed to go gluten-free.
You hearken?
I hearken back.
He hearkens.
I do. And that was in 2008. And I had a very kind and generous doctor who was down in the Bay Area who was trying to help me with some of my health issues. And he said, you know, you really need to go gluten-free. I don't even think I've informed you of this. And so I was going gluten-free for a little bit, but then eventually I wasn't. And, you know, looking back, it was more because my psychology was that, well, he says I need to go gluten-free. Do I really need to go gluten-free? Gluten-free is just an example. It could be you're on a grain-free, dairy-free, soy-free FODMAP diet, for those of you watching out there. Whatever the diet is, you're being told to go on a diet and you're thinking, do I really need to do it? Because that's our ego. And our ego is such that we think, well, you know, do they really know? Maybe I know better. And there's also the component of being told to do something versus deciding to do something. And what the patient brought up to me, which I thought was so simple but incredibly powerful, is that she was saying, when I was going through the program and I was following up with you, she did some routine maintenance visits. She said, you know, I was invested. I had invested financially in the program at that point, and I felt like I needed to stay on the diet because I had invested so much. But after a period of time, I think then we went into about 2 years, she said, you know, I just started losing that motivation.
2 years after she got out of the program.
So I started losing that motivation and I went back to my old habits. And then she completely fell apart, not surprisingly, came back in. We needed a few sessions to kind of get her retooled again. And now she's doing really well. But the main thing that switched was she said, you know, I'm doing it for me this time. I'm doing it because I feel so good when I'm on the diet, and I'm not doing it because I'm being told to be on the diet. And, you know, that's a salient point, but again, so powerful because it reminds me of the Seinfeld episode, for those of you who watched TV in the 1990s, with the soup Nazi. You know, and the soup Nazi was very authoritative, and if somebody crossed him, he said, no soup for you, and you had to leave, and you didn't get the soup that you wanted. And we can come off sometimes that way with the diet because we've heard every excuse in the book. I'm sorry, but we have. And it's our job to keep you on the path. And so that's kind of basically the stance that we take when we're working with you. But really, for your success in the long term, and where we've seen other patients succeed, they're doing this for themselves. And that's where you have to get. If you're going to do anything in life, you have to do it for yourself. You have to be the primary motivating factor. So we know that this program works for so many of you. We started doing video testimonials this year, and overwhelmingly, it's been phenomenal. You know, most patients are doing really well. I'll say it like 10 times. But the critical factor, and really what we want, is for you to be doing better 2-3 years from now. And when we see those patients who follow up on their annual visits, that is the most exciting thing for me, because these are people who truly hit the fork in the road. They chose a different direction. And then years later, keep getting better. They're in a completely different spot than people who didn't make that decision. And I'm not trying to like sell you on something here, but I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. We've had Meniere's cases, for example. Using Meniere's cases, they're dizzy, they're nauseous, they're throwing up frequently. They're taking lots of medications for it. Ultimately, they're told that they have to have their inner ear taken out. And we've had so many Meniere's cases, just as an example, who years later are doing phenomenally.
My memory keeps coming. For those of you who may not know or know, I have a bunch of this stuff. Plus, I had a number of concussions. And I've told you several times in the last couple of weeks, I continue to get better. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Exactly.
For a long time. So,
and really, this can apply to fibromyalgia or chronic fatigue. I could use any one of those as examples. But
you got to stick to the program. And I didn't know this subject was going to come up until like we literally sat down at the table. But if you don't mind, a second one that has helped me and that seems to have helped a lot of patients is to look at the food as your medicine. You just have to, I mean, if you can shift your concept on food from, I'm going to go out there to really satisfy all of my sensory needs to, when I sit down, what I eat is going to make me better. It's going to keep me cleaner. It's going to keep me pure, whatever it is that connects with you. But it's not going to cause me symptoms. But if you can get the concept that it's actually going to be the medicine that continues to make you better. And I think if you combine those two, we found those to be simple. They at least work for a certain group of the people very powerfully. But it's kind of odd. I'm going to add on to this. It's going to be a little longer because as you get out there in the world, we get distracted. I mean, do we not have cell phones? Do we not have televisions? Do we not have things 24 hours a day trying to sell us on the new thing? It's easy for your brain to go, could it possibly be that I need to keep doing the same thing? And the answer is yes. And that's a very difficult concept for a lot of people to grasp. But if you keep doing it, the worst that can happen, you'll probably keep getting better and better. And the worst that'll happen is something will happen one day. You'll call and we'll say, oh, you underwent stress. You probably need, you probably need a new exercise, or maybe you altered some function in your body because you underwent stress and you altered your thyroid. Maybe you re-inflamed your gut. Maybe you picked up a new food sensitivity. Here, go home and do this 10-day food allergy elimination diet. Eat the food, put the foods in there that are the new foods. Find out what your new food allergy is. It's that organized if you're willing to understand that. And it just took a long time to put this protocol together. And we did it so that patients could stay better. And so that, I mean, it's really a goal of ours. And we see these things now, and I've thought about this a lot. It is easy. Once you get a year, 2, 3 years away you're listening to Dr. Oz, you got this guy Axe on the, whatever it is on there, you got friends selling you things, different types of supplements that they're good for autoimmune problems, all that type of stuff. You got to trust us on this before you do anything else. Either don't do it or call us or whatever. But yes, do it for you. Don't do it for us. Don't do it because he told you to do it. Don't do it because, do it because you want to be better. Do it because you want to live a long, healthy life. Do it because you want to stay active. Whatever it is, find some motivation and do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I think that pretty well summarizes it.
Yeah.
So we'll see you next week. Send us your ideas. We ask every week. All right. Thank you.